y'all, welcome back. Of course, you are back to another reaction with us, Miss Diva Talks and the official JW. So we are doing another reaction. This is coming from Nightmare Files. So this is another one of my favorite scary story YouTube channels. He has really good scary stories too. This one is 5 horror stories that were animated. This is the 2021 compilation. Trust me when I say these stories are really good, and I love the animated ones because these are basically coming from other YouTubers who listen to the scary stories and compile animations to go with the stories. So they're always good. This is new. This is the 2021 first compilation. So let's get into this video.
Let's go.
When I was a teenager, I would often explore the deep web with my friends, specifically weird stuff on Hidden Wiki. There were definitely a lot of links to choose from. I never clicked on the violent links because I'm not into that. My friend Latrice told me to click on one that says, new best friend. After doing so, it takes you to a page where you have to make a profile. I put the name Lisa on my profile. My real name is Susan. Once I made the profile, you are directed to a main page that has categories. They were silly, serious, smart, and smothering. We clicked smothering. I thought it was funny. After choosing, there was a list of people with their pictures, male and female. I clicked on the profile of a guy that had the name 5, like the number 5. I entered, and it didn't seem like someone who would be a smothering friend. When I was searching through his profile, I received a message from him asking if I were looking for a friend. I looked at Latrice, and she laughed, but also told me to respond yes. So we're messaging back and forth for maybe 30 minutes, and then Latrice had to go. I told him I'll be back on tomorrow, and he said okay. Maybe a week went by where I would talk to him every night. He seemed very nice, so we exchanged numbers so we could talk more.
This is already bad.
Why do people just keep falling for it? Let me give you my number so we stay in touch.
No, screw that. You're doing this on the dark web. We're not talking about regular stuff like Tinder, Match, eHarmony, Black People Meet. We're not talking about none of those.
Instagram, Snapchat, none of those.
We're talking about the dark web.
This is already going to be bad.
Everything seemed fine until I clicked on another profile and someone else messaged me. I started talking with this other person, but still was texting the guy 5, which I knew his real name now as William. The new guy had the name Bill on his profile. A day went by, and he seemed cool, but then William randomly asked me why I was talking with Bill. I didn't know what to say, so I never responded. He kept texting with angry messages, so I blocked him.
Damn.
I didn't receive any texts, only a single message on that site, and it said soon.
Oh.
One day after school, my friend Latrice came over to have a sleepover. We got comfortable, went to my room, and did our usual of surfing through the web, being nosy. I brought up that guy. Then I received a text message that said, "Why'd you block me?" from a random number. I replied with a question mark. Then it replied, "It's me, William." He texted me from another number after I blocked him. I told Latrice how creepy this guy is. Then Latrice stopped me from talking because she thought she heard something. Then I heard a voice. "I'm not that creepy."
Oh!
We both responded by screaming and looking around. I saw someone coming from under my bed, so we ran screaming out of my room.
Oh,
and my mother called the cops.
What the? What?
Hold on. I got one question. 2 questions. Maybe 3, but the first main 2 is important. 1, how the hell he know where they stay at? But then again, it's the dark web.
Dark web.
2.
Hello? People can pull your IP address.
Yeah, they can do all that.
Exactly.
And 2, how did he get in the house without anybody knowing or suspecting or anything? You know where her bedroom was at. That's the creepy stuff. But let's see.
They didn't get him because he left through my window, and nothing could be traced back to him. I'm starting to think that he was both of the people I was talking to. That definitely opened my eyes to the dangers of the internet. I would never visit the dark web again.
Did you learn your lesson?
I wouldn't even go
Like, why would you go to the dark web in the first place?
Right, I wouldn't even go to the first place, man.
This story happened about 5 years ago. It was Christmas Day around 1:30 in the morning, and I heard my upstairs screen door open. I wasn't thinking much about it. Probably that Santa was dropping off gifts, or that my mom was grabbing a couple things to put under the tree.
This is why you don't let your kids believe in Santa Claus. Did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said?
I mean, yeah, but kids are supposed to believe in Santa Claus.
So you think Santa just gonna come through a window?
Maybe they got chimney. Same.
My twin sister and I were the only ones awake at the time, so we heard everything that was going on. We heard the Christmas tree and the gifts being moved around, slow, quiet footsteps moving around the house, and a beam of light moving around the living room. The light was getting closer until it reached the top of my steps, and it just stopped for about 5 seconds and left. Since I was only 10 at the time, my first thought wouldn't be that some intruder came to my house looking around. So I had an idea, and I wanted to see if there were any presents under the tree. My sister said I should wait until the morning, and that it should be a surprise.
Your sister's smart.
Thank God I listened to her. About 5 more minutes of hearing things moved around my house. I heard a loud, ear-piercing sound of my mom screaming. I bolted up. I ran up the stairs, and when I was halfway up, I can hear her saying, "There's a man in the house," over and over. Thank God the man got startled and ran out of the screen door. I saw my mom and my sisters getting hysterical over the situation. We called the cops. Within 3 minutes, the police showed up. Only my sister...
3 minutes? They must live in a white neighborhood.
It'd be like 45 minutes for us.
Sister and I heard everything, from the moment the man broke in, to him moving stuff around, into the sounds of my mother screaming. We really couldn't give a good description of the guy, since we didn't actually see what he had on. All my mom saw was that he was wearing dark denim jeans and a black hoodie with the hood up. We later found out that the man also broke into my grandparents' house, who lived down the street. The scariest part of this is, when before all of this happened, my sister heard footsteps above her window and thought it was a raccoon, and waved at it for some odd reason. But now we definitely know it wasn't a raccoon. And if my sister didn't tell me to go upstairs, what would have happened? What would have happened if that guy saw me by myself?
Yeah.
Maybe.
One night when I was 15 years old, I arrived home just after midnight and my parents were already in bed. I decided to leave the back door unlocked for my older brother since he was sleeping over a friend's house. Big mistake.
You think?
In the middle of the night, I awoke to feel something cold and metallic pressing on my neck. At first I thought it was my brother playing a prank on me, but then I couldn't see the pitch black bedroom. Then a big hairy hand covered my nose and mouth. I couldn't breathe. I heard a deep rasping voice say, "If you make any noise, I'll kill you."
You're about to get the
After my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I could make out the shape of a man leaning over me. There was no face, just a black mask with holes cut out for the eyes. He was holding a knife to my throat. I knew my parents were asleep in the next room, so I tried to make as much noise as I could, but the man's hand muffled my screams. I kicked my legs trying to bang on the walls so my parents could hear. All of a sudden, through the screams, I could hear my parents get up and they're running towards my room. When my parents opened the bedroom door, they were confronted by a terrifying scene. All they could see in the darkened room was a big black silhouette bent over me and holding a knife to my throat. As soon as he saw the knife, my father jumped on top of the intruder and struggled with him. My mother grabbed the man's wrist and wrestled the knife out of his hand. My father managed to get his arm around the masked man's neck and began to choke him. I grabbed my cell phone and I ran outside to call 911 as my parents kept the intruder pinned to the bedroom floor until the police arrived. The bedroom door burst open and a police officer ran in holding a gun yelling, "Don't move or I'll blow your head off." The police handcuffed the intruder and dragged him out of the house. When police searched the man's truck, they found a variety of weapons and some bloody clothes. It turned out that the masked man had already murdered 2 people a few days before. My family and I, we had no way of knowing it, but we just captured a serial killer. And the scariest part about this is that it can happen to anyone at any time. This was real. What I've learned from this is to always lock my back door.
You think?
Come on
I
now.
live in a not so large and not so friendly block of apartments. Well, it's really more of a converted old Victorian house, which is now modified into 5 small apartments per block. The main door is really crappy. It still hasn't been replaced, even though the entire building has been refurbished. This is the case despite the landlord promising it would be done by the new year. Anyway, this door doesn't lock when you close it. It has to be locked manually, either by the key from the outside or by the twisty lock on the inside. Unfortunately, people who live around me can be, well, let's say rude. And that's putting it kindly. They're always blasting music until late, setting off the fire alarm, which is linked in every apartment and is super loud and annoying. But most annoyingly, always, and I mean always, people are leaving the main door unlocked. This was something more than an annoyance, up until very recently, when something truly horrific happened to me. It was a Thursday night, and as usual, I was getting ready for bed at around 11 p.m. And as usual, despite it being a weekday, one of the surrounding apartments is having a party. Again, it's the weekday, and this was annoying because who throws a party on a Thursday? I mean, just wait for Friday. Not only that,
That's annoying.
I mean, look,
Even if you live in a house, that's annoying.
I lived around areas. I'm not gonna say grew up, but I lived around areas where they have a party Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday. It's annoying, yeah, but anything further than damn Sunday night, Monday. So
it's supposed to be a lockdown. So while other people can't see their own families, me included, you get to keep everyone up. The music was noticeable, but not super loud from the comfort of my bedroom, thankfully. So I do what I always do when I go to bed. I put on some scary stories. I chill, and I try to go to sleep. So I finally managed to drift off at around 12 o'clock, and I'm awakened for the first time at around 2 because of the music. So I get up, and I go to the bathroom as I thought I might as well, since I'm already up. So being annoyed and frustrated, I get back into bed and continue to enjoy my stories until I'm asleep. I'm suddenly awoken by loud stomps coming up the stairs. I live at the very top of the building, so the final staircase only leads to my door. Now I'm more than exhausted, more exhausted than angry. So I just lie there, awake, until I hear something that jolts my half-asleep brain fully awake. My door being pushed open. Someone is actually trying to push open my door and enter my apartment without my permission.
oh hell no.
Not hard or forcefully, mind you. Not like they were trying to break it, but they definitely were trying to gain entry. Now this may be because my mind was still foggy, or that I was still so tired that I didn't care, but I just stupidly assumed that someone in a drunken stupor was trying to get into the wrong place. Maybe the party was at a different top floor apartment, I thought. So I ignored it. Even when it happened again, I could hear scratching and mumbling on the other side. Stupid, I know, but I really just wanted to go to sleep.
I feel you.
So the next morning,
We've all been there.
I woke
Exactly.
up as normal and got ready for work as I opened my door to leave. And what do I see? 2 men asleep on the floor, blocking my way, and one of them bleeding from his head. Now, I'm not judgmental, or at least I try not to be, but these men were clearly homeless. I mean, the smell alone told me that. It was like having a ball of dirt slapped in your face. Not ideal for an early morning start. When I eventually got one of them to get up, the other failed to do so. He was clearly on drugs. He was completely out of it. Thankfully for me, the man was okay. I mean, I could have been rushed or anything, but he explained to me that he had been attacked and chased, so they took shelter here. So I offered to call the ambulance, which the men eventually accepted through a one-sided conversation of murmurs and groans. So I stepped out to get a better look at the man on the ground. As I did so, the other man stepped inside of my apartment.
Excuse me?
I just stared at him with our eyes locking. He reached in his pocket and I postured up ready to fight. He looked at the other man and he just shook his head as if he were saying no. And thankfully he just came back out without incident and I locked my door. The ambulance eventually came. I informed my landlord of this and he said that he will warn other people living there that they must keep the door locked. But of course, every morning I go to work, the door is wide open with no consequence. But the real kicker is, because that guy was bleeding and was homeless, I didn't want to clean it myself and had to get professional cleaners to do so. And when I asked my landlord to chip in, he just ignored me for days. And when he eventually got back to me, he said it's not that big of a deal. So I ended up paying for the whole thing myself, because I just didn't feel comfortable with that being around me. Now, I don't believe those men had intentions to hurt me.
I do.
Right.
What if I didn't lock my door? What if they had gotten in? When people are desperate and opportunities present themselves, you really don't know what people would do.
Exactly.
2 of them and 1 of me, asleep and alone, pretty scary when you think about it, right?
This is why I can appreciate apartment buildings that have those main doors that automatically lock.
Damn.
What?
I ain't got that.
We know, but look where you live.
3-minute response time.
Because when I lived downtown, our main door automatically locked. To get in, back in, in and out, you had to have your key.
Now, I will say this for y'all. Everybody got the same setup no matter what. Wherever y'all watching this, we all got the same setup.
Pretty much.
You know, apartment to apartment, they're all the same. Just different sounds, just different features and stuff like that. But anyways, forget about locking the main door. This is why you always lock your door.
That too.
2, after that landlord would have said, oh, it's up, I would have just dipped. 3, if he ain't really enforcing that stuff, him just being a good landlord putting a lock there, man, I would have been out.
That's what I said. The automatic lock.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as you turned your key and you open the door and it closed back, it locks.
It's a wrap. So if you ain't got your keys, whoo!
Yes, that happened once.
My name is Nikki and I'm 19 years old. This past December, I got myself a Christmas temp job working at Amazon helping with deliveries. It gets pretty busy around that time for deliveries, obviously, because it's Christmas. Right away, I hated the guy I was helping with deliveries. His name was Frank. To describe him, he was a bit overweight, didn't shave well, and his hair was short. I didn't like him because he was very rude and seemed like he was in a bad mood all the time. And I would be in the van with him most of the time making deliveries, and it was very awkward. I tried to make conversation with him, but like I said, he was very rude. And there was no point in trying after about 2 times. I thought about quitting, to be honest, or at least be with a different delivery driver, but I didn't want to cause any trouble. I was a temp after all and needed this job. I thought Frank was really rude and socially awkward and not a nice person to be around, but I never thought he would harm me in any way. One evening after finishing deliveries, we were driving back to the Amazon warehouse, or at least that's where I thought we were going. Frank passed the turn where we always go to the warehouse. As I said before, we didn't really speak, so I wasn't about to question him. He would probably snap at me anyway. After he continued driving, the more obvious it was to me he was taking me to another place, and it wasn't the warehouse. I finally asked Frank where we were going. He didn't snap at me, surprisingly. He just said we needed to run and do a quick errand. I was looking around my surroundings, and I could see that we were around empty fields and abandoned farmhouses.
Empty fields and abandoned farmhouse.
It just screams. First off, if I'm working with you and you missed that, and we done with our route and you missed that turn, yo, where we going? If you don't answer, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna do a tuck and roll out the car.
I don't know about tucking and rolling out of a Amazon Prime truck, but all right.
Empty fields, man. I'm not dealing with it, man.
At this point, it was getting dark outside. Frank then pulled up next to a tall, overgrown, and unkempt cornfield. He said to me in a very firm voice to stay exactly where I was. Don't move. Frank then got out of the car and started walking up into the dirt road, disappearing into the dark of night. 10 minutes went by. I sat in the van by myself in the dark and had no idea where I was. My phone was in the warehouse in the locker, as we weren't allowed to have our phones during work hours, so I couldn't even go on my phone or use it as a light source. I needed to pee and couldn't hold it any longer, so I got out of the van and headed into the cornfield to do my business. After doing so, I started to walk back towards the van. In the near distance of the cornfield, I could see flashlights. 2, in fact. I found that really odd, as the whole area seemed to get closer to the van. I could hear a sort of heated argument going on between Frank and another man whose voice I couldn't recognize. I couldn't see him either. I heard the other man say, "Where is she? You said she was in the van." Frank then told the man that she was just in there, and she has to be around here somewhere. The other man said to Frank, "If we don't find her, you're dead." That's what those flashlights were. Those men were already out in the cornfield searching for me. I snuck off into the field, walking quickly but as quietly as I could, the whole time crying and thinking I was about to die. After walking far enough, eventually leaving the cornfield, I ran down the side of a long dirt road. I had no idea for how long, but eventually I came across an old diner which was still open, thank God, and the manager called the police for me. After this incident, I quit my job, but this wasn't the end of it. About 2 weeks after quitting my job, I got a call from my boss who employed me. He told me that I was the last one to see Frank, as no one has seen him since. Apparently there were rumors that he owed people money from gambling debts, the people you don't want to be in debt with. As much as I don't like to think about it, I'm pretty sure Frank's way of paying off his debts with those people was to hand me over to those men. And what those men had planned to do with me, I never wanted to imagine.
Yo, that's crazy.
That's wild, man.
Damn. Imagine working with somebody that hates you that much that they gonna just fail you off and settle a debt.
I mean,
Wow.
nah, I can't. Cause man, like just say this, like, it's like you look at it. Who's to say they gonna stop you because you just drive? You trust you trust the person you loosely.
You
like to think you can.
You would think that you can.
But just being in there, just gonna deliver like, oh, you gotta use the bathroom. Luckily, she had to use the bathroom.
Right, because if she hadn't got out that truck,
game over. She would have been gone and whatnot, man. It's wild, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. But like I said, I like these Nightmare Files, the animated versions of the stories. Yeah.
Hey, good.
So if you like this video, of course, the original and the link to their channel will be in the description. All right, that's going to do it for this one.
Make sure you like and subscribe to us because we got more content coming to you guys as well. Links to follow both of us on our respective profiles is going to be in the description as well. And anything else?
Nah, that's it.
Catch y'all next time.